In for 4, hold for 7, out for 8.
Can you frame this up real quick for me, please? That's good?
Yep.
Cool. Can you stay there? Can you sit here while I do this? Because, yeah. Pull up a chair.
But I need to make coffee.
Everyone, Amir Zachary. Shout out to him for helping me do this. I'm not a very good speaker. I don't like to talk in front of cameras very much, but I'm gonna try because you guys deserve it. So, thanks for asking so much questions, guys. I sent the Q&A thing out to Instagram and YouTube. So before I get into the Instagram stuff, I'm probably gonna cover the YouTube comments first. So yeah, let's go ahead and get into it. So literally the first 3 comments on the response was, how do I make these transitions? So what I'm gonna do is actually at the end of this video, I'm not gonna actually have a tutorial on how I do every single thing, but I learned every technique, transition that I do in my videos on YouTube through tutorials. So what I'll do is I'll kind of talk about, you know, what the transitions are, what they're called, and then probably, you know, just provide some links so you guys can go check those out. It's a lot of time and a lot of effort that goes into it. Next question. What editing software do I use? So I use Final Cut Pro X and also After Effects. I'm trying to dip into Premiere Pro here and there, but just haven't taken the time to learn it yet. What equipment do you use, and do you think going to film school is worth it? I'll answer the first one, what equipment do I use, because a lot of people, this is a really common question. So first off, I use a GoPro Hero 4 Black. For that, I use that for all of my underwater shots and any action stuff that I can't use my, you know, regular DSLR camera with. I shoot in 1080 most of the time at like 120, so I get some good slow motion, Pro 2 non, standard settings. My main camera that I shoot with is a Panasonic GH4. My lenses, I'm shooting this right now on a Sigma 18-35, and I also have a Rokinon 14mm. For my stabilization, I use a Glidecam HD-2000 series, and that's about it. A regular tripod. Sometimes I use a Rode mic that I borrow from Amir, and I put that for some audio stuff, but that's about it. Next question is, oh, what was it? You think going to film school is worth it? Me speaking personally, I went to school for a little while, not for film, but I feel that film school, if you're going in knowing that you want to do something to do with film, like maybe production, or like, you know, you want to make movies someday, then for sure go into film school. From my experience, I would say, you know, I never went to film school. I didn't, you know, I learned everything online. You can literally learn anything you want online these days. And so it just depends on, you know, what your goals are. And, you know, for what we do, which is traveling, you know, videography and photography and stuff, maybe you should go to school. Honestly, I wish I went to school for business, because as a freelance, you know, videographer, you need to basically be a business person. And film school, I mean, there's benefits of it for sure that I don't know of, but you know, you kind of just got to make that decision for yourself. So next question, who inspired you to follow this path of capturing your life through photography video? I honestly can't put it down to a single person. When I first started doing it, it was just something that I loved to do with my friends, you know, and so we'd go out and, you know, just kind of make these videos for fun with a GoPro, and that was about as much. I actually, if I had to put it to anybody, it'd probably be my followers, you know, the audience of people that saw my videos. They inspired me because, you know, they really liked what I did. And so that, you know, obviously just encouraged me to continue to do it, continue to elevate and step up everything that we do. Where do you get your songs? YouTube, SoundCloud. Kind of just gotta scour the internet. I spend hours, you know, just finding good music. What is your biggest fear and why? So, my biggest fear, I wouldn't say it's something that's physical. It's not like a tangible thing. It's more of like an idea or a thought. and I'm deathly afraid of like being stagnant, of not growing in whatever it is that I should be growing. I believe that as a person I should be improving on everything that I do, whether it's myself, it's my skills, my relationships, my just whatever it is that I'm doing in life. I feel like if I'm not moving forward or going backwards, I'm so afraid of like regret, because one day we're all gonna die, and if you meet God one day and he just says like, hey, this is what you could have been, you never lived up to your potential, like that scares the crap out of me. And I mean, that's just me. That's probably the only thing that I can think of right now. So when did you first get into editing and filming? About 3 years ago. I started, I picked up a GoPro. That was my first camera, and I started making these little GoPro videos with Taylor Fisher, and we did our whole adventure thing. And I mean, yeah, that's kind of what happened, and we just progressed from there, and now we are where we are now. What are your best channels on YouTube for inspiration? I like Casey Neistat. I watch a lot of his videos. Gary Vaynerchuk. As far as like videographers, I mean Rory Kramer, Sam Colder, Taylor, Sage, and there's way too many people to list. Parker, but a lot. There's a lot of them. There's a lot. What camera do you use for underwater clips? GoPro. Lenses, got that. What do you use for color correction? After Effects and Final Cut. From where do I get the fonts? So if you notice in like in the Follow Your Stoke series, you'll see a 901 video and the Follow Your Stoke font. Cool thing about that is I actually got this inspiration from Rory himself. It was just my own drawings on a whiteboard. I took footage of it, and then there's blend modes that you can get everything transparent and make it so that it's on your footage. And so that's why I did that, or that's how I did those fonts anyway. And how do I make them move? Camera shake. Yeah. Say hi to Taylor for me. Okay, hi Taylor. What are your goals at the moment, and what did you accomplish so far? Well, goals for myself, I mean, I've always had the same goal, and that's been to inspire and create content that people can enjoy and people would love to see, and inspire them to go out and do what it is that they love to do. And that's what I've always, that's kind of been like the base goal behind everything. Physical goals, I want to travel. I think that's a big dream for a lot of people in life. And I see videography as kind of the way, or an outlet that I can take advantage of to make that goal happen, those dreams happen. I want to travel. I want to work with probably some influential people, whoever it is, maybe artists, music artists, bigger companies, and just people who inspire me. What have I accomplished so far? There's way too much to, not in a cocky way, but I can't list everything. What cameras do you use? I already did that. Glidecam. Cool, so that's all the YouTube questions I got so far. Now let's head to the Instagram post. This should be fun. Okay, first question. What's a good camera to make vlogs / travel videos with? I've only had like 2 cameras in my life. I use the GH4. I really like it. Autofocus isn't that great on it, but I mean, it just depends on if you're going to be vlogging a lot. I mean, it gets a lot of work done. I like it. I want to get a better camera. It doesn't have that real cinematic look to it, I feel, and so I want to upgrade. And honestly, I've seen people kill it with just a GoPro, vlogging with that. So yeah, people vlog with iPhones. The best camera is the camera that you have. Yeah. So what do you love most about taking photos and videos? I would say the experience, for sure, because we go to some pretty cool spots, and you know, it's always fun to try to capture that place or that moment wherever you're at, whatever you're doing, in a way that people haven't necessarily seen before. And you know, same thing with editing, like creating that new look to a video, or that new vibe to it that, you know, that may have not been seen, or it's pretty unique. Like it's a pretty cool feeling, and then showing it to people, like it's a really cool thing. What type of videos would you like to concentrate on moving forward? I really like to concentrate on my creative work. Follow Your Stoke is, you know, my total outlet right there. That's I want to continue with that series for sure, and kind of maybe focus on more of those, you know, lifestyle videos slash adventure content. I don't know. It's just me being creative. I get to shoot what I want, and I also want to, you know, improve my skills on maybe doing some kind of documentary work, or you know, just recapping events, those kind of things. Always fun. Next one, camera and lenses. Already went over that. How do you make your videos so clear? On Instagram, I'm assuming. I compress them correctly. So in Final Cut or whatever application it is that you're using to edit your videos, I always export at the highest quality that I can. So whether it's like if it's a 15-second video or 30-second, usually that file will be like a couple gigabytes, just at the most uncompressed version that I can get it at. And then I take it into a second app called Compressor. It's made by Apple, so you can find it on the App Store on the Macs. And there's a setting for that called Apple HD Best Quality. So I just use that, throw it on Dropbox, and that usually does the trick. Also, I noticed that color correcting is a huge deal with quality on Instagram especially. So make sure that your contrast, your sharpness is on point. Have you always lived in Hawaii? Yes. I was born and raised on Molokai, which is not Oahu. It's an island next door, and now I live on Oahu. How long have you been shooting video and editing for? About 3 years. Again, can you do a tutorial on transitions? I will get to that. How do you shoot? What type of shot you got in this post with a stagnant foreground yet a moving background? Okay, so that he's talking about this shot that it's called a cinematograph. So what it is, it's something that's still in a picture, and then you got like a moving, like waterfall or some moving time lapse or something like that. So it's called cinemagraphs, and I'll provide a link again in the tutorial, or in the bio, to a tutorial on how to do that. You can do it in After Effects or Photoshop actually. Are the transitions that you use in Final Cut Pro plugins, or are they burns or another type of effect? They're not. Some of them are in Final Cut, some of them are in After Effects. I told you I'll get to this afterwards. How did you get to where you are now on YouTube? How did you get noticed? So this goes back to, I mean, I'm honestly not even that big on YouTube. I'm not anywhere near, you know, a big name on there by far. So I got to where I am now on Instagram through all the GoPro videos that we did, honestly. I like to believe that we did something different, but honestly we just hopped on the GoPro the GoPro train when it was a good time. When I got my GoPro, it was like, you know, that's when it first started getting popular. People started posting pictures and little Instagram videos of their GoPro adventures, and we just kind of took it to some really cool places here on Oahu. We did some crazy stuff, cliff jumping, me and Taylor, and you know, that was at the time when, like, I don't know if you guys remember GoPro of the Day and those big like GoPro feature accounts before they got taken down. Like that was that kind of got us out there, and you know, eventually we got sponsored, so it helped out a lot. So like I use iMovie, yeah, Christopher Erazo, everybody. What are your favorite fonts to use for video edits? I don't know what it's called actually. I just know what it looks like. It's kind of that blocky, almost impact look, but yeah, I honestly don't know what it's called. Do you have any tips for people who want to start producing videos like this? Yeah. my first tip honestly would just be, just do it. Just have fun doing it. Don't worry about, you know, your video not looking as good as someone else's video, because maybe you just started and this guy's been doing it for 5 years. So your videos aren't going to look the same. They're not going to be, you know, the same quality. But the main thing is that you need to continue to do it. Continue to get better, continue to grow, continue to improve. And the way to do that is you have to love what you're doing. So, I mean, you've got to have fun doing what you want to do, or else you're not going to be driven to, you know, want to keep pushing, keep improving. And it's just a really, I don't know, it's a passion. That's all Do you often make money from your videos, and if so, how did you start? Yeah, I make money from some of my videos, not the YouTube videos most of the time, but some of the videos that are sponsored, or, you know, they're incorporated with brands. I'll work with, you know, a company that wants some exposure, you know, and I'll just pitch them like, hey, I want to do this video for you guys, you know, maybe let's talk about a budget. And most of the time it's just a lot of emailing back and forth about budgeting and money things. And that's when I said, you know, the whole business side comes into play, and that's something that I wasn't at first, was like really new to me. I also make money on the side. So, I mean, aside from like YouTube videos and Instagram stuff, I'll do like client work, or I'll do like promotional videos for companies. I've shot weddings before, you know, and, you know, just ways to kind of tie in my passion for film with making a living and making money. Also, any advice to grow on YouTube and Instagram? Be unique. People always want to see something that's new, something that's fresh, consistent. That's one of the problems that I've kind of had, is, you know, posting something fire for a month and then 2 months later not post anything. So you've got to consistently roll out quality content that builds your brand. Yeah, you're basically a brand on Instagram and YouTube, so you got to make people know that you are unique, you are your name. It comes down to marketing and all this kind of crap. So yeah, transitions. Do I have a SoundCloud? I do have a SoundCloud. I'm barely on it. Is it shot with GoPro? No. From where do you learn how to make all the transitions? Like YouTube. Camera, software, new number. What gear and settings do you film with? Yeah, so settings, I usually shoot on a really flat profile. For my Lumix, or for my GH4 users, I shoot on Cine D, and that's usually a really less contrasted look. It allows more data to be in the picture so that I can mess with it in post and, you know, color correct the way I want it to. On GoPro, like I said, 1080 at 120. What DSLR can you suggest for some solid slow-mo shots? Anything that shoots 60 frames, honestly. 1080 at 60 frames gets the job done. Anything higher, the Lumix can shoot at 96 frames, which gets, you know, like really slow motion. Sony shoots at 120. Just anything above 60, honestly. It's a good DSLR, or it's a good for slow motion. Vlog or Cine D? Cine D. What are your intervals for time lapses usually? It depends on if I'm shooting day time lapses or if I'm shooting star photos. But for day lapses, if I'm like trying to cover some cloud movement or something, usually my interval is at around 2 to 4 seconds. 2 seconds being, you know, not as fast, and then 4 seconds you'll see a lot of movement. For stars, I'll usually have it at like a 26 or 30 second interval with 30-second shutters or 25-second shutters, and that usually does the trick. How do I color correct? So I kind of answered this already, but I do it in After Effects. And, you know, in After Effects is basically like Photoshop. You can literally take the hues of every single color and tweak it the way you want. Basically all of my color corrections in After Effects. Can I have your number? No, Corey Packelbar. What editing programs are you into, and do I use Twixtor? Yes, I use Twixtor. Not very much anymore because I've got good, like a camera with good slow motion. But I haven't used Twixtor in a really long time. My computer's so old that it can't even like handle it. What's your go-to spot for jumping? Well, it used to be when I was into jumping more. Maybe like Spitting Caves or Waimea. Where did you first gainer? That was actually Capena Falls. Taylor taught me. On average, how long does it take you to edit a video? Kind of depends. For the Follow Your Stoke videos, so the first one took about a week to edit. Just front to back. I already had the footage all saved up. That took a week. Follow Your Stoke 2 took 3 days because I was on crack. I went morning to nighttime just editing on that thing, and like it just all flowed out. So that one took 3 days. Follow Your Stoke 3 took like the longest, I think, because of all the effects. And it took about maybe 10 to 11 days. If I wasn't making videos, what would you do? I'd probably want to try, shit, I don't know, honestly. I'd honestly probably be just a normal kid and working a regular job. Yeah. Do I use any camera filters or color correction? I don't use filters. I should be using a polarizer, but I don't find the need for it. Color correction. Yeah, color correction and editing. What are your most and least favorite things about living in Hawaii? Good question. Hawaii is absolutely beautiful. I've lived here my entire life, and I have nothing to complain about. It's an awesome place to live. There's sick scenery. People are generally really nice here. Oahu, it's like there's so much people though, so it's kind of here and there. The thing I don't like is how expensive it is here. It's like cost of living's crazy. What advice would you give to a group of college grads thinking of living in Hawaii? I would say a lot of people do it. My advice would be kind of just have a plan, or not have a plan. Just know what you want to do. I don't know, it's kind of like moving anywhere else, you know. How do you shoot time-lapse, and what do you do in post-production to them? So, I explained how I do my time-lapses. In post, I just color correct. I use Lightroom to color correct. So in Lightroom, when you upload all of your pictures into Lightroom in your library, you can actually sync. If you edit one photo, you can sync it to every single photo, and you know, I always shoot raw. That way I can manipulate it the way I want, make the time-lapse look sick. And then you just batch, what's it called, batch processing? I'm not sure what it's called. But you apply those same filters by syncing everything onto those other pictures. Alright, so that's about it for the questions. Everything else is kind of just the same questions in different forms and repetitive. So let's get into transitions and editing and all that stuff that you guys want to know. So like I said earlier, every technique and transition that I have in my videos, I've learned on YouTube. There's thousands of hours of tutorials out there that'll show you everything that I've done. And so I'm not necessarily gonna make a YouTube tutorial just yet. And I'm going to talk about what transitions I use for sure, and provide links down to the tutorials, and you guys can go search for yourself. But the first one is Baker's Tuts, automatic smooth transitions. He's also got a ton of tutorials that are really helpful, so shout out to that guy. Luma fades, which are those dissolves that you see, those crazy dissolves. You can learn that through the same person, Baker. And scoping, scoping is another tool that I use. Twixtor for slow motion, and all of these other transitions. I'm trying to think of other transitions that I've used. Honestly, it's just the cool thing with video editing is that you can combine and create new things that people don't see. So the whole goal with it is that you want to use these transitions in ways that people have never seen before, or might not have been thought of yet. So creativity is everything. Maybe combine one of these transitions with something else. Get creative, because anybody can throw in two really sick clips that have nothing to do for each other or do with each other, and then throw in a zoom transition, but it won't make sense. The whole goal of transitions is to create a flow to your video, to make it vibe, make it connect with whoever's watching it, and not confuse people. I mean, like, sometimes confusing people with a transition is cool, but it needs to keep the video and the story progressing. And so check out those tutorials. If you've got any more questions, I'll try to answer them, but for the most part, like, that's basically it. Lots of tutorials on YouTube. With that, guys, yeah, that's about it. If you have any more questions, please get in touch with me. I'll try to answer them as best as I can. Thank you for all of the support that you guys have always shown. Thank you for the questions. Hope this could provide some value for you guys. And small announcement, I'm gonna start to try putting out some more content on this channel weekly. I'm gonna start doing these weekly adventure recaps slash vlogs. Not too much vlogging, but I'm gonna try to bring some consistency to this channel. And with that, I mean, thank you again. Follow your stoke and do what stokes you. Take care.